I'm a dad, I'm a husband. You're not getting it. It's not clocking to you.
Justin Bieber just did something no one expected. He leaked his own private messages, not hacked, not exposed. He posted them himself. And what they reveal isn't just drama, it's disturbing. Raw emotions, burned bridges, a mystery man, and fans asking, is Justin finally speaking his truth? Or is this a full-blown breakdown in real time? We dug into every clue, every post, every connection, and what we found paints a picture even darker than you might think. It started quietly, no PR spin, no captions, no context, just a screenshot. Justin Bieber, one of the most recognizable celebrities on the planet, posted a raw, unfiltered message thread to his public Instagram story. And what he wrote wasn't just personal, it was explosive. I will never suppress my emotions. Conflict is a part of a relationship. If you don't like my anger, you don't like me. For a moment, it didn't feel like a celebrity talking. It felt like a wounded friend trying to justify the fire inside them, trying to make sense of pain in real time. But then came the line that stopped people cold. My anger is a response to the pain I've been through. Asking a traumatized person not to be traumatized is simply mean. That sentence wasn't just emotional, it was revealing. For the first time in years, Bieber was admitting something publicly that he had only ever hinted at before. That he is, in his words, traumatized. He didn't say how, he didn't say by who, but the word alone opened a floodgate of speculation. Fans immediately asked the obvious, what trauma? Was it the media frenzy that surrounded his teenage fame? Was it his long, turbulent history with managers, producers, or friends? Or was it something darker? Something he's never spoken about? And then, as people were still trying to piece it together, Bieber added fuel to the fire. Another message from the thread appeared, a reply from the unnamed recipient saying, I'm not used to someone lashing out at me. To which Justin sharply replied, ouch, this friendship is officially over. I will never accept a man calling my anger lashing out. At this point, it became clear. This wasn't just a cryptic post. It was a conflict unfolding in real time between Justin and someone he once called a friend. A man, specifically, and someone who had apparently crossed an emotional line. But this wasn't about one argument. This was deeper. What we were witnessing wasn't just a conversation. It was a breakdown. Or maybe a breakthrough. Because as erratic as the messages seemed, they were filled with therapy language. Boundaries, trauma, respect. The kind of words people learn when they're actively trying to heal. But healing doesn't always look pretty. And in this case, it looked like a slow-motion explosion. A friendship was ending, a celebrity was unraveling, and the entire internet was watching it happen, screenshot by screenshot. Justin's emotional spiral wasn't just a string of dramatic posts. It was a one-sided conversation. And hidden within that stream of texts, one line quietly flipped the narrative. Ouch. This friendship is officially over. I will never accept a man calling my anger lashing out. That one sentence told us everything we didn't know before. He wasn't texting Haley. He wasn't in a fight with a family member. He was speaking to another man, someone he considered a friend, or at least used to. And suddenly, this wasn't just about raw emotion, it was personal. Because when you look at what he wrote next, the tone shifts from pain to finality. I wasn't kidding when I told you I didn't need you as a friend. I have good friends who respect my boundaries. For a moment, it felt like growth. Justin, a public figure often criticized for outbursts, was talking about boundaries. He was identifying toxic behavior, shutting it down, and choosing healthier relationships. It was the kind of self-awareness that makes you wonder if maybe, just maybe, he was turning a corner. But if that was the high point, it didn't last long. Just a few lines later, he pivots. The conversation goes from emotional maturity to personal attack. I thought you were a piece of trash. which is why I always kept my distance. But I gave you the benefit of the doubt. This confirms that you are the person I always thought you were. Please leave me alone now." No room for reconciliation, no forgiveness, just a shut door, slammed hard. Then silence, at least from Justin, but not from the other guy. The unidentified man responds, sarcastically admitting, "I'm a coward," to which Justin replies, "Blocking you now." It was a dramatic full stop, the kind you don't usually see play out in public. And that's exactly why it stunned everyone watching. But here's the thing. This wasn't just emotional venting. These weren't vague subtweets. Justin chose to make this private argument public. He chose to leak these texts, which means he wanted people to see them. The question is, why? Was it a warning, a message, or just a breakdown caught in real time? And more importantly, who is on the other end of this imploding friendship? The clues we have are limited, but telling. It's a man. The friendship was short-lived. Justin had reservations from the start, suggesting history or rumors. He said he gave him the benefit of the doubt, implying trust was never fully there. This wasn't someone random. It was someone familiar. Someone close enough to be dangerous, emotionally speaking. And that's when the speculation started. Fans immediately began scanning Justin's inner circle, hunting for the missing name behind the meltdown. And what they found was a list of suspects, each with their own reasons to be the mystery man behind the screen. The moment Justin's posts hit the timeline, the internet went into detective mode. He didn't name names, but he didn't have to. Between the tone of the messages and the choice to leak them himself, fans knew there had to be a deeper story. And with one key line, "This friendship is officially over. I will never accept a man calling my anger lashing out." The search began. The criteria were clear. The mystery person is male. The friendship was short-lived. Justin felt skeptical from the beginning. There's a sense of emotional betrayal. So who fits that profile? As it turns out, more than a few names. First up was NHL player Austin Matthews, a close friend of Bieber's and a fellow Canadian. Fans pointed out that Justin had publicly posted about him before, even called him "my cap," a slang term for team captain or someone you respect. But that's what made this theory so suspicious. If Justin had truly respected him, why say, "I always thought you were a piece of trash"? And why make it so clear the friendship was short? Their history actually stretches back several years. They've supported each other on social media, appeared together at public events, and even posted selfies from private hangouts. So while the theory gained traction at first, it didn't hold under scrutiny. The connection just ran too deep. And if Justin truly wanted to cut ties with someone that public, wouldn't he have unfollowed them? Spoiler, he didn't. Then came a name nobody expected, Timothée Chalamet. Unlike Austin, Timmy and Justin haven't been friends for long, but there was a recent bond formed through their partners, Hailey Bieber and Kylie Jenner. Reports surfaced earlier this year that Justin and Timmy had been spotted grabbing coffee together in Beverly Hills, often at low-key hotel cafes, away from paparazzi. According to a source, they connected over shared experiences. Both were child stars. Both know what it's like to grow up in the spotlight. And apparently, Justin considered Timmy one of the few people who really understood him. Someone he could talk to deeply. It checks out. A short-lived friendship, emotional trust, private hangouts. And if that trust was broken, it could explain the fire in Justin's texts. This theory caught on fast. People even started digging into photos, timelines, and old interviews. Nothing confirmed it. But the vibe? It fit. But then another name resurfaced, and one that fans couldn't ignore. Eddie Benjamin, Australian singer, longtime friend, and according to some, possibly more than that. Justin and Eddie have been spotted together everywhere over the past few years. Vacations, after parties, red carpets, private dinners. Some fans have even described their relationship as more intimate than any of Justin's current friendships, including the one with his wife. In fact, people noted that Justin spends more time posting with Eddie than he does with Haley. That includes cozy photos, sweet captions, and even appearances in Justin's documentary. The timeline, however, complicates things. Justin described the friendship in his messages as short-lived. But his bond with Eddie started around 2022, which doesn't exactly qualify as short. And if they're still constantly traveling and appearing together, it's hard to imagine Justin would torch that relationship so publicly, unless something happened. Something recent, something personal. Could this have been a falling out between two people who were closer than they ever admitted publicly? While fans were still trying to decode who Justin was texting, he took things further and darker. He began posting again. This time, it wasn't just messages. It was monologue, confession, desperation. One slide read, "People keep telling me to heal. Don't you think if I could have fixed myself, I would have already? I know I'm broken. I know I have anger issues. I tried to do the work my whole life to be like the people who told me I needed to be fixed like them. And it just keeps making me more tired and more angry." No punctuation, no filters, just raw emotion, spilling out in real time. He continued, "The harder I try to grow, the more focused on myself I am. Jesus is the only person who keeps me wanting to make my life about others. Because honestly, I'm exhausted with thinking about myself lately. Aren't you?" It was messy, heartfelt, and painful to read. And it didn't feel like a celebrity post. It felt like a journal entry someone accidentally published. Except this wasn't an accident. Justin chose to share this on purpose. And timing mattered. These posts weren't dropped on a random Tuesday. They came on Father's Day, a day most celebrities were posting about family, legacy, and love. Justin, meanwhile, was sharing his spiral. That contrast wasn't lost on anyone. Where was Haley? Why wasn't anyone from his circle stepping in? Fans began to wonder, was this just a bad day? Or the beginning of something more serious? Because when a global icon starts saying, "I know I'm broken" out loud, it doesn't feel like drama. It feels like a warning. And the posts kept coming. He uploaded a photo, blurred, moody, with the caption, "Quit asking me if I'm okay. Quit asking me how I'm doing. I don't do that to you because I know how life is for all of us. It's hard." Then, let's encourage our people to not project our insecurities onto one another. Your concern does not come off as care. It just comes off oppressive. Weirdo. In one sentence, he rejected sympathy. In the next, he pushed back against empathy. And in doing so, he made one thing painfully clear. He didn't feel safe, even with his own fans. By now, social media was flooded with reactions. Some people defended him, saying he had every right to speak his truth. Others called it emotional manipulation. Some worried he was off medication. Others wondered if he needed to be back on it. But everyone agreed on one thing. This was not normal. This wasn't a celebrity stunt. This wasn't an album rollout. There was no hashtag, no link in bio, no YouTube thumbnail or promo behind it. It was just one of the most famous people on Earth, slowly unraveling post by post. Within hours, Justin's emotional outpouring took over the internet. Screenshots flooded timelines. Comment sections exploded. His name climbed the trending charts. Not because of a music release, but because millions of people were watching him in what felt like a public breakdown. But what made this moment even more intense wasn't just what Justin posted, it was how people responded. The reactions weren't unified, they weren't even close. Some fans rallied behind him immediately. "He's obviously hurting, this is a cry for help." People mocked Britney Spears for years. Are we really going to let this happen again? There was genuine concern for his mental health, his emotional stability, and the eerie feeling that no one close to him was stepping in. But right alongside that empathy came criticism. Sharp, sarcastic, and unforgiving. One person wrote, "So, you're traumatized, so that means you get to treat people like garbage? Got it." Another added, "This sounds like someone who learned therapy buzzwords on TikTok and decided they were a therapist now." That was the theme that kept coming up. Therapy speak. The internet started accusing Bieber of using language from mental health spaces to justify poor behavior, calling every reaction a boundary, labeling every criticism as oppressive. It didn't help that some of his posts had a tone of self-righteousness, saying, "Don't ask if I'm okay," or "You don't care, you're just weird," came off to many as emotionally closed off, even cruel. And while he seemed to be asking for understanding, he also seemed unwilling to give any in return. Then came the speculation about his mental state. One viral post read, "This feels manic, like full-on manic, and no one around him is doing anything." Another added, "Honestly, if I didn't know this was Bieber, I'd have assumed it was Kanye. That's how unhinged this sounds." It was brutal, but it wasn't all unfounded. Others wondered whether medication might be a factor, either too much, too little, or none at all. He's either on something he shouldn't be, or off something he needs. And while most celebrities would pull back under that kind of public pressure, Justin kept posting. As more people weighed in, the backlash shifted to Hailey. Where's Hailey through all this? Why hasn't she said anything? If she can build an entire skincare empire online, surely she can say something to protect her husband. Others went further, questioning their entire relationship. Some said she seemed disconnected. Others accused her of enabling, but most simply wondered, if Justin was this unwell, why was no one stepping in to help? And then there were the trolls, people making jokes, memes, commentary videos, picking apart every sentence, twisting every quote, turning a serious situation into content. Because that's what the internet does. It turns trauma into a trend. But beneath the noise, the chaos, and the cynicism, something very real was happening. This wasn't just a celebrity losing control. It was a man, publicly unraveling under the weight of pain he no longer knew how to contain. And if people were so focused on who he was talking to, maybe they were missing the real point. He wasn't just texting someone else. He was speaking to all of us. And no one knew what to do with that. To truly understand what's happening with Justin Bieber right now, you have to go back. Not just weeks or months, but years. This isn't the result of one argument or one bad day. It's the boiling point of a life lived almost entirely in the public eye, under conditions that would break most people before they even turned 20. Justin Bieber wasn't just famous, he was engineered to be famous. Discovered at 13, signed by one of the biggest managers in the world, catapulted into arenas and paparazzi headlines before he could drive a car. For most of us, adolescence is awkward. For Justin, it was global, and every mistake he made, every misstep, every emotion was broadcast, dissected, and judged. By the time he was 19, he'd been arrested, canceled, mocked, and worshipped. By 21, he was already trying to reinvent himself as a changed man. By 25, he was married. And all of that happened under a microscope, with no off switch. So when he posts now about feeling broken, when he says he's angry, tired, traumatized, he's not just reacting to one friend or one incident. He's reacting to years of pressure that never let up. Fans have long known Justin has struggled with his mental health. He's admitted to depression, anxiety, and burnout. At one point, he canceled an entire tour to focus on recovery. In interviews, he's opened up about substance use, therapy, and a desperate search for peace. And through all of it, people kept asking him to be better, to behave, to grow up, to be the perfect version of the kid they first fell in love with. But what happens when you've spent your whole life trying to meet those expectations and still feel hollow inside? That's what this breakdown is really about. When Justin says, "The harder I try to grow, the more focused on myself I am," he's revealing something many celebrities never admit: that self-improvement isn't always healing. Sometimes it's exhausting, especially when the world is watching, judging, and waiting for you to slip up again. Add to that the complications of fame, marriage, and religion. And it's not surprising that he feels isolated. Yes, he has a wife. Yes, he has money. Yes, he has fans. But none of that insulates you from loneliness. And now even his friendships and the last safe spaces he might have had are disintegrating in public view. People compare him to Britney Spears, to Kanye West. But maybe we shouldn't be comparing him to anyone, because this isn't about celebrity anymore. This is about someone whose trauma has gone untreated for so long, it's become part of his identity. And the scary part? It looks like he's just now realizing that. This wasn't just a bad look for Bieber. It was a window into what decades of pressure, unresolved pain, and fame without rest can do to a person. The posts may have been dramatic, the texts may have been petty, but the pattern, that was real, and it was haunting. After the cryptic messages, the emotional confessions, and the rising wave of backlash, Justin Bieber made one last move. He cut the cord. The conversation, if you could even call it that, ended with a message that was less about emotion and more about closure. Please leave me alone now. Then, blocking you now. No grand explanation, no apology, just silence. And in that moment, fans watching this situation unfold were left with a strange mix of emotions. Relief that it had ended, and unease about how it ended. Because it wasn't just about blocking someone, it was about burning a bridge, publicly, dramatically, and without any indication that the fallout would be addressed or repaired. It raised even more questions. Was this a toxic friendship finally being shut down? Or was this an emotionally unstable man lashing out at someone who tried to help? Was it strength or a breakdown masquerading as one? To Justin, this move may have felt like a boundary, a final line in the sand. But boundaries, real, healthy ones, usually come with reflection, with time, with a sense of peace. This didn't feel peaceful. It felt abrupt, personal, vengeful, and that's what made it so unsettling. Because for all the talk of growth, therapy, and maturity, the way this ended didn't look like healing. It looked like someone trying to protect themselves from further hurt by shutting out the world entirely. Even fans who had supported him throughout the meltdown were left asking the same thing. Was this about healing, or was this about control? That question matters, because it determines how we interpret everything else he posted. The language of therapy can be empowering, but it can also be weaponized. Saying you have boundaries is powerful until it becomes a tool to avoid accountability. Saying you're traumatized is honest until it becomes an excuse to hurt other people. And in the chaos of it all, one thing became clear. Justin Bieber isn't just navigating pain, he's navigating identity, trying to figure out who he is without the spotlight, the entourage, the legacy, or the expectations. And maybe in the messiest way possible, he thought this moment was his reset button. But here's the hard truth. Once something is posted, it can't be undone. The messages are out there. The speculation is permanent. The bridge is burned. Now all that's left is whatever comes next. So what do we make of all this? A global superstar leaked his own text messages, went on a social media tirade, burned a friendship to the ground, and told the world, in his own words, that he's angry, broken, and tired of trying to fix himself. To some, it looked like drama. To others, a publicity stunt. But maybe it was neither. Maybe what we saw was the unfiltered truth of someone who's been living in survival mode for years. Someone who's spent his life being molded, sold, and repackaged, and is now trying to reclaim some part of himself, even if it's messy, even if it's painful, even if it makes people uncomfortable. Because healing doesn't always look like journaling and meditation and smiling on camera. Sometimes it looks like chaos. Sometimes it looks like cutting off the wrong people in the wrong way. And sometimes it looks like crying out into the void of Instagram, hoping someone finally hears you. But here's the part that lingers. For years, Fans begged Justin to open up, to be vulnerable, to show us who he really is behind the music, behind the fame. Now that he has, many don't know how to respond. And maybe that says more about us than it does about him. Whether this was a step forward, a step back, or just another step in a long tangled journey, one thing is clear. Justin Bieber isn't okay. And he's finally done pretending he is. What happens next? We don't know, but one thing's for sure. This wasn't just a meltdown, it was a mirror. And whether you saw pain, ego, healing, or hurt, you saw something real.